Hello, everybody, and welcome to this exciting instalment of Wednesday's Reflexology Wisdom. This is episode 4, the final episode of Peter Mackereth's interview. And today we are going to be talking about constipation. Peter is also giving us another fabulous demonstration. So all eyes on what he is doing on his partner's feet. So we're going to get into this in just a second. We've also got something else, some self-help for constipation. It's a hand reflexology technique that Peter calls I Love You. It's absolutely fabulous. And then right at the end of today's episode, Peter is going to be talking about where you can learn from him so that you can get fabulous training from an absolutely all-round good guy and most eminent reflexologist. Anyway, enough of the waffle. I'm going to shut up now, and let's go and hear from Peter.
We talked earlier about something that we have a common passion for.
Yes.
Constipation.
Yes.
You were saying that you've got a particular way that's a little bit different, you were saying, to help with peristalsis?
Yes. So, there are some classic points. I mean, you could work the spine, obviously, for the gut, which is great. You can work the large intestines, as normal. I do think the ileocecal valve often opens the gut in a nice way. So, and I'll often say to patients is that your gut system has valves in it. And so I'm just going to work one of the areas and just imagine it being like a door opening. So I use metaphors of doors opening.
Which the valve does, yes.
So, and obviously working across it, doing circles, etc. And then I will often combine working the large intestine with an imagery. And I might ask the patient, tell me about a journey that you really like going on, and what type of transport. And so, one that I always remember from my early days was someone said, I always remember that film, Railway Children.
Oh, I remember that.
Yeah. And, the steam train building up steam and going through the tunnel, and then the loud horn as it came out and the light flooding the carriage. So you can combine, we're stepping onto a first class carriage, getting really nice and comfy in the carriage, looking out. I'm talking a bit faster, I would be much slower. Looking out over, through the windows. Maybe there's cows in the field, maybe we're going through woods, and then we approach a tunnel and the light darkens and the electric lights come on and the sound is different. And then after a few months, when that sound changes and the light comes flooding in, and then the electric lights go off and we're back out in the open landscape. And then when we arrive at the station, there are people to meet us, there's crowds waiting, and we descend the train, plop, plop, plop. So the idea, the metaphor of the journey, and you might take something with you and carry it that you want to deliver at a certain point. There's all the metaphor.
Peter, this is excellent. I love it.
So when I'm working with somebody who's perhaps got IBS, constipation, might be have a problem post-operatively, their stoma might not have worked, then I'll pop a little stethoscope. This is an electronic one. It just sits just below the umbilicus.
Yes.
And it's I can listen with my phone with the headphones. You can actually get just baby listeners. I don't know if you've ever seen baby listeners.
Oh yes.
And they have a microphone, and you can just pop it down the pajamas. It usually has like a little speaker port, and that you can listen with headphones. These are very cheap. You can buy them off eBay very easily. This is just extremely fancy, and I like fancy technology. And it just holds round the waist with some Velcro, and I just have my one-piece earphone in, and I listen to the peristalsis. And when vowels are opening, you often get blub, blub, blub. And then when things start to flow, you get blub, 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 blub.
Yep.
But sometimes the guts go that they're trying, and you can often work the feet and find an area of the feet to get that lovely, what's known as borbagema, which is the gurgling, which is what you want, which tells you the parasympathetic nervous system is in the uppermost rather than sympathetic, because that'll be closing things down.
Yes.
You'll be getting the creaking or the silence or the popping. You can get popping sounds in the gut. So you know, as you work through areas of the body, you can elicit areas that might promote gurgling. Now, what I find is that, yes, I work the digestive system, maybe going back and forth the small intestines, etc. But I actually find that working the edge of the foot often stimulates or promotes peristalsis. And
Right.
so after I've worked the gut, I will then work the edge. And this is linked to gallbladder and small intestine, but you know, and then I just pull and pull and pull and pull, and then I usually get lots and lots of gurgles.
Now that's really interesting, because what you're doing there as well, are you familiar with the work of Lee Anthony Taylor?
Yes, I know Lee, yes. Yeah.
So you're talking about the coronal plane here, working from the sides.
Mm. So I go to the out aspects, work along here, drawing and pulling in a sense, a very gentle way. And then I might even finish with some air reflexology.
Oh, yes.
And I'll get loads of gurgling. And then, you know, it just seems like it's a way of completing. I see these points as release points for the gut. And it does seem to encourage streaming of peristalsis. The Greek word is borbagema, which is one of my favorite words, borbagema. So yeah, that's, I notice it's the same with the edges of the hands, working those. So I say to patients when they're on the loo, just gently work and come up to your little finger and just imagine releasing and letting go. So, you know, and they're plop, 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 plop. So, you know, I mean, I'm very keen that patients have those little stools in their bathrooms. What are they called, Steve? Are you awake?
Squatty Potties.
Squatty Potties. So Google Squatty Potties. Is the most funniest ad that's ever been done. It's a very posh English prince using a squatty potty and describing the bowel and how it moves. And squatty potties, little stools. So anybody who has long-standing constipation or invest in a squatty.
I'm writing this down right now so that I have a look for this. A squatty potty.
Yes.
I'll put a link down at the bottom so people can go straight to it as well.
So with constipation, I will suggest to people that they work the edges of their hands when they're on the loo, just to connect that loo experience with reflexology, but also to do I love yous around the edges here. So we've got eye, so we can just do eyes anywhere on the hand. It doesn't really matter, but the palm of the hand, eyes. And then we can do loves. So we're coming down. We can do loves. We can do loves this way.
Yeah.
This way. And then we can do use towards the anus, you know.
Yeah.
And if you're on the right hand, yeah, right, left, yes, we're on the right one. So yeah, so we're just doing eyes.
Yes.
Eyes. Of course, you could work that way, but I think for most people it's easier to work that way.
Yeah.
And then L's, you can do L's that way. L's, I love you. It's a bit similar to the baby massage concept. And then you, because you can do that on your tummy. I love you. Yeah. So it's getting people to think about where on the hands their tummy, their bowels are, and then work it. So interestingly,
Yes.
Interestingly, I went through gallbladder surgery last year.
Oh.
I now know where my gallbladder is on my hand because it was screaming out at me when I had
Oh, please do tell.
when my gallstones were blocking my duct, my
You can tell I'm leaning forward. I'm wanting a better look.
So about one, what I'd call one cun, which is one width of a thumb down there. That for me, that's where my gallbladder is, and was screaming at me when I was having my gallstones, and it helped to relieve the discomfort of gallbladder. But what was interesting was that obviously I went through surgery and everything, and I noticed that if I included that in my self-care I love you routine on myself, that actually stimulated peristalsis. I could hear it. We know obviously gallbladder, but bile.
Yes.
Bile acts like a lubricant.
It does.
It colours the stool, etc. Yep. So I would include that point as well. So gallbladder, I think, is one worth doing in order, if you were thinking of different points to work the gut.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So we've been on a journey.
We have. So, Peter, the thing that I want to, this has been absolutely fabulous. I've learned so much.
Okay.
You've got things coming up teaching wise as well, haven't you? So what have you got coming up that we can help advertise for?
Well, I mean, I've run courses through the Christie, so it's very easy. If you just put in, I'm going to cough in a minute, Integrated Therapies Unit, ITTU, and you put in my name, Mackereth, and you'll see there are various courses that I teach on. We do run an adapting reflexology course for cancer care. I tend to do the external courses, so I do usually 2 a year in Ireland. At Portlaoise, at the Golden Egg.
Golden Egg with Catriona, yes.
So she gets me to run an adapting reflexology for cancer care. So always good to look at her website as well. We're running a 3-day massage course later this year there, and we might be running an aromastick course there next year as well. So I do courses in Ireland, and I do courses, as I say, at Christie's. So always just Google me. I'm quite easy to find on the internet, and I have a YouTube page, and some of the techniques I do are on their little videos about some of the techniques. So I'm going to answer more in the next few months.
Oh, good. Because I must admit, I always do Peter the Pandiculator.
Of course.
With my students, because I think it's just fabulous, that one is. Oh, you've got your stretchy man.
Yeah, so I think for every reflexologist, you should have a little bowl of these in your waiting area, and every patient should have one as a gift, as a way of it, because yellow is the attachment color. It's a positive color, and just teaching people to do simple breathing techniques.
Yes.
We've got various points. Obviously the brain is in the thumb, so if you're actually just using an anti-anxiety little technique, which is to squeeze his belly, and he does a star jump for you combined with breathing, and of course doing the pandiculation technique, which is to encourage diaphragmatic breathing. And we've done a study on it. We've actually done 2 studies, which have been published, one in the BMJ.
Ooh.
So I did a study on breathlessness, cough, and fatigue, and we combined some acupressure points, some breathing technique points, and as I say, if you put my name in BMJ, breathlessness, and Yorke, Yorke, who's the professor that leads the team,
not the city.
Not the city. Then it's a free paper in the BMJ on techniques for breathlessness. So I mean, as I say, reflexology is part of my toolbox, but it's the one I started with. The one was the focus of my PhD, and I obviously want to continue to do some research around peripheral neuropathy, and using a reflexology protocol, combining various points on the feet and the hands that can be used to encourage to release the discomfort of CIPN, which is a horrible side effect of.
Oh gosh, absolutely. Peter, will you promise that you'll come back when you've got more information and you're further down the line with this peripheral and upper. I can't say it.
CIPN.
That's the one. When you've got when you're further down the line with it, you've got some sort of results that you might be able to share with us, because there's so much good research that's going on at the moment. It's an exciting time to be a reflexologist.
Yes, there are, and there have been there's been about 3 papers published on reflexology and CIPN already, and Carol Samuels is doing some work as well. So, you know, it's an area that will generate, because of course it was a no-go area. If you were a diabetic with peripheral neuropathy, I was told back in the 80s, don't treat patients with cancer. Don't treat patients who are diabetic.
Yes.
Don't treat patients who are pregnant. We have to challenge all those, and we do it through evaluation, audit, and research, and sharing best practice.
Absolutely. And Peter, that's just a wonderful way to wrap this up. You have shared so much best practice with us.
Okay.
Thank you so much for being with us. I am so grateful. I'm sure we're going to get loads of comments on this on the video, and you've been wonderful. Thank you.
Okay.
Well, all I can say is thank you so much, Peter, for being the most amazing gentleman and the most amazing reflexologist, so full of great knowledge and so prepared to share it with us. I am absolutely in your debt. I really am. Next week, we are going to do a treatment on Wednesday's Reflexology Wisdom. I am a great advocate that reflexology is fabulous for post-operative healing. It can really, in my mind, can really boost the healing process. And I was fortunate a little while ago to have the opportunity of working on someone's feet who literally was just, it was the same day they left hospital after having had a hip replacement. We're going to be seeing how the feet reflect the hip reflex, because there are fabulous visual markers on the hip reflex points where you wouldn't expect there to be. So dive in, have a little look at that next week. I hope that's a little bit of a teaser for you. And until then, stay safe, stay well, and thank you very much for watching.